Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the May 7th, 2026 Town of Ancrum Planning Board meeting. Can we take the attendance, Sarah?
Joe Crocco,
Present.
John Frondolo,
Present.
Don Tash,
Here.
Bill Hack.
Here.
Palmer Erb, here, Christine Brown. Jessica Love.
So we have a quorum and we'll proceed. Anybody have a conflict of interest with any of the new applications? Okay, that being said, minutes.
Here.
Oh, all right. Has everybody looked at the minutes?
I have not.
If not, you want to wait till the end of the meeting or? Okay. We will hold the minutes to the end of the meeting until next month at this point. Okay. New business, Richard and Hayden Gear, a lot line adjustment.
Here.
Would you please come up front and identify yourselves and tell us what you're doing?
I'm Mrs. Hamilton Richard.
Hello.
So there's a little corner of our parcel that abuts Anthony Herchio, I think is basically his name, our neighbor. And it's just an area that I he expressed some interest in, and so I'm just gonna telling that way.
And they've already been using it too, the prior owners also.
Yeah, the prior owners, I know shortly before they sold it, they were actually mowing the area and answering some of the trees, and I made clear to the previous, to the realtor, I was like, that's not part of their property, I made that clear, and when Anthony came to me and said, I realized that, I'm buying the property, I realized that he recognized that, and I
Okay.
just, I kind of mentioned, but
Okay, to be clear, your property fronts on Route 3.
it has some
Yeah.
frontage on 3, but actually more frontage on 8 than the
So
driveway.
you front on 3 and 8.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And your parcel A, parcel you are transferring and making the lot line adjustment is to parcel B.
Right,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay. Just for the record, what are the acreages of the existing lot and the increase of the new lot?
Our lot was originally, currently, 29. Exactly what it was very close to 30. And
Acres.
30 acres.
It's
And-
28.68.
Oh, you found it?
Yeah, so 28
Yeah.
plus the 750 plus a little bit. Yeah.
Right.
So right, it's 29.6 or whatever.
Thank you.
And how,
So yeah, so about 3/4 of an acre to them, from our 30s, so that brings us down to 28.643. And transferring 0.759 to Anthony to add to his 2.027 acres that also fronts on 8.
okay, so there's no new lot created for the record and you're transferring approximately 3/4 of an acre to parcel B. Okay, and that would be a conforming parcel also. Anybody have any questions about this?
Yeah, that's good. No big deal.
I think so. Well, it's a lot line adjustment, so it doesn't require a public hearing, so we've required secret determination, no secret determination, so I guess motion to, motion for complete. You're gonna get a motion to state the application is complete.
I make a motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so I gotta get a motion to approve the lot line adjustment.
Make a motion to approve the lot line adjustment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, you're approved. You need to get us 5 or 6 copies with a raised seal from the surveyor that I have to sign, that you will take to the county clerk, or somebody will take to the county clerk. That makes it official. You don't do that, it never gets filed and it's not official. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, have a good night.
Okay, moving on. This is an abbreviated site plan. Yvonne Riverio.
Riverio. Yeah, I hear you. Good night.
Oh, I got, there it is.
So this is just house plans. So my name is William J. Giesler. I'm the engineer here on behalf of the bureau, so I have authorization to speak to them.
Yeah, we met a while back. You had an accident or something and
That's correct. Yeah.
feeling better.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna try to finalize this. So,
Excellent. So went to, we did finally get the approval. We have updated our architectural plans, that haven't changed very much since last time I saw them. I just updated them with the 2025 little changes and so on.
okay, we'll just refresh. We're going back a while, so. There was some wetlands involved and.
And so what did get approved is slightly different than what we talked about before.
Moved by,
The Board of Health.
oh, okay.
Okay. Now. So Hall Hill Road, this is 338 Hall Hill Road, 388. And the wetlands, 150 foot wetlands buffers here that we would, we're looking to get a variance on to go within 100 feet of the wetlands as per DEC in order to put the septic disposal system down here. Now, the Board of Health didn't want that. They wanted it up here above the house with pump chamber, based on this being compacted soil already.
That was already filled.
Yeah, so I did that, got the design up here with the pump chamber, and that's been approved by the Columbia County Board of Health. And in the trade-off, to go up 200 feet from there downhill to the well is now what I'd like to be in the variance of within 150 feet of the distance to the wetlands as opposed to 100 feet. So I've swapped the well on the septic basically.
And so how close is the well now?
The well. Oh, I need a scale to tell you exactly.
What do you say, 100? Do you 100 feet instead of 150?
Yeah, let's say it's about 130.
Is it engineering?
Say again?
Is it engineering?
Oh, yeah. Well, that'll do. Thank you.
Sure.
It's real.
I'm prepared.
I probably do have it in my briefcase.
Every engineer should.
It's almost dead nuts, sorry, dead 130 feet from the wetland.
Okay. So there was some stuff going on the last time we spoke. Has that all been stopped? There was some,
Yeah, there's hasn't been any work done since, I believe maybe done some gardening up here because he wants us to meet us and so on, but aside from that, there's been no construction, no further excavation, and we just were waiting for Columbia County approval before we got to test.
okay. Questions?
This is the same one where we had the pond on the side.
Yes,
So we gave the setback approval for the pond.
right, and with where the well is now, the well could be moved to be 150 feet away from the pond, but we're outside of that 100-foot area to that and wetlands across the street. The well could be moved around basically depending on if you guys need to.
So you could make it 100.
Right.
Well, it's got to be 200 feet
From the septic down.
from the septic down to there, so we're going to intrude into the wetlands
Right.
side, but the pond side, we can push it over that way, not intrude into the pond. So we can stay 150 feet away from the pond.
But then we'll be closer
One
to the
pond.
wetlands
Well,
now.
right, this,
No, no, no.
The pond, not the wetlands, yeah.
Just gonna move up.
the pond's just a surface water, it's not a registered wetland. The wetlands is across the street, but either way, we're still talking about 150 foot offset by the rule.
Okay.
So one will meet code if you move it 1 month.
Correct.
So it'd be better to be closer.
Well, it's gotta be within the wetland buffers, well, the 150 feet of the wetlands.
Right.
Because that's across the street.
You don't have this.
Yeah, we don't need,
You can put the well way uphill.
you'd have to go way up here.
Yeah.
Mm,
It's only probably,
It's, it would be quite a bit more expensive, and this is fairly steep, I'm not sure. if-
Pipe, electric. Yeah.
But you're out of the buffer for the wetland, but not in the pond.
Opposite,
Out of the buffer for the pond, but within the wetlands.
right,
So you're getting a variance for that
yeah, that's, well, when I applied
with
it-
DEC?
when we previously, no, it's outside of the 100 foot buffer zone for the DEC, so we don't need a variance.
This is the town.
It's our 150.
Right.
I think we have the same ability to.
EAF. There's a page 17, which we, you found it?
Oh.
No, because we can't grant a variance.
Thank you.
Only the ZBA can.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, we can't do it, the ZBS.
No, I thought we had the zoning code, the expression that we used last time for the. Pond. Right. When we did the variance on the pond last time, you were able to, if I recall correctly, you were able to make that.
I don't think it's not a zoning board variance. I think it's a variance of site plan or, yeah, site plan.
Right, right. I'm just,
So
I'm
we
just
can grant the
putting the same
variance.
respect as the pond where we were able to.
It's a waiver.
The waiver, yes.
I'm just trying to find it in the code.
No.
There's a million references to wetlands, I just didn't find that. Here we go. Okay, planning board waiver, all right, there's a page, it's on page,
So did the DEC already approve
217.
septic already? That,
There's Columbia County Board of Health.
Board of Health,
two
yeah, I'm
seventeen.
sorry.
Yeah, this
Okay.
is.
Oh, okay.
Is this the waiver you're looking for? I think you wrote that.
Yes, this is last time I came before you, this with this, yeah, right.
So that's still what you're requesting.
Yeah,
So
just-
we have a formal request, which is, required. for the
But-
waiver.
Right, but is this for the pond or for the well?
Previously,
This is the driveway, right?
the driveway was existing before, you can purchase the lot, so.
Let's see.
And I wrote that request for,
2.4.
Is this a class C wetland? Do we know what the class of wetland?
I have it on, it is, federal and DEC. It says surface wetlands, PEM 1F.
Right, so there's disturbance for the, when they were building. The,
Yeah, somebody started doing all kinds of stuff there.
yeah, because the clients that actually didn't see the, actually, so, the, so the building area. So I think that was for them to build within this, area. So, so, I don't know, so. This would probably have to be, I think, I would imagine. That's all. But just for the,
Well, we're saying we can comply with the setback to the pond, the same.
Well,
Yes, that's correct.
It
so we don't
depends.
need a setback for the pond,
We don't need a setback for a pond, we need a setback for the well.
for the well, right?
And that's what
Or
this-
or for the wetland.
Yeah.
From the well,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And that was going to be, as that was written for, was for the actual septic field was gonna be there. Rather than that, we just like to put the well there.
Oh, so
instead.
this actually is a buffer zone to the wetland. I'm sorry, I thought this was.
We'll need him to rewrite the letter. or not?
I,
Do we have that electronically? In fact, I'd like to see them now, because it says we can't waive it if it's,
No, I don't think it's.
yeah,
I think it's
there's a
better
lot of
to
stuff in
rewrite
that map.
letter referencing that that's not a well, as opposed to.
Yeah, I think it would be
So
correct.
that's the one thing.
Correct, but we can waive certain requirements in the site plan process. We can't waive zoning requirements, but we can waive wetland.
Yeah, we can waive it unless it's a class C, T, or CTS stream.
And those are streams, yeah, so this is an actual surface.
This is a surface well.
Wetlands.
Right,
So
yes.
it's none of those things.
Okay.
It's fresh water too, so. I think this is sort of less disturbing than everything else you could do as far as.
Yeah, it's,
Right, the well is right.
you're gonna see some, gray shale when they hit bedrock around the top of it. That's about what we're gonna do.
And what is our pleasure? You want him to rewrite the letter?
Yeah,
Come
I
back,
think-
yeah, rewrite the letter. Yeah.
I think it should.
Can we approve it subject to him rewriting the letter? Yeah. Or do you want him to come back and show us the letter?
I would certainly prefer it,
I don't.
I
I think subject.
Yeah, I think so. I agree.
Subject to your approval of the letter. that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
okay,
Right.
yeah, that's fine. Okay, so. Is the application complete? Can I get a
Make a motion to declare the application complete for the
And,
area.
and we're saying we're moving it so that it's 150 and 130.
Yep,
So we're gonna be compliant, non-compliant.
with the letter, I'll clear that, we'll state that clearly.
Yeah.
Right, put a sketch off of this showing it.
Okay.
50 feet from that's. The compliments.
Sounds good.
So, yeah, make a motion to declare the application complete for ASPR 2602 with Ariel.
with the addition of a letter?
Oh,
Subject.
was it the application? The
Yeah, the application. I am-
complete, yes, with the amended letter, for approval by the chairman.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion for approval?
Make a motion to approve ASPR 2602 for Ariel.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Get
Thanks
us
very
the
much.
letter.
Well,
It won't roll unless you get us the letter, not the link.
Really?
That's good. No,
Okay.
That's, it's a matter of record now.
Okay,
So, yeah, that'll be no problem. I'll get that to you next week.
okay, great. Get it to the clerk.
Will do.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay.
have a good night.
Thanks. I'm here for one more thing.
You're here for something else?
Yep, sure. How they agree.
Oh, great.
Okay,
All right, now we're on.
yes,
BDA.
David hasn't come.
Dash A LLC.
Which one is this?
Well, I can move, keep moving, I
They're
can't,
exactly.
There's two of them.
One's 3, one's 4.
yeah, when he gets.
There's three of them.
Hey.
That's the houses.
Right, next application,
There's three. This one.
BDA-A LLC, abbreviated site plan 26003.
Okay.
Would you please?
One time.
Okay,
What we have is, to our, east here, I'm sorry.
03 is nice timber. When you're looking at plan. The map ID that ends in top.
Right.
Okay.
okay, I'm trying to. We have two sets here.
Yeah.
So this is high timber, yeah, they said. Oh,
I said, yes.
So they're two separate applications.
There are two separate applications, two separate lots, and there are.
one of the is taking up two lots though, right?
It's gonna have a shared driveway, it snakes back and
All right,
forth.
I just wanna be- okay.
That's correct. So previously, on these two lots and a third one that was sold to a different party. The Patterskill engineering gotten, septic approval for 4-bedroom systems. And, you know. From Columbia County Board of Health signed off and approved. So, with Mr. Howdy Greer here, they wanted to increase the bedroom count from 4 to 6 and do it in footprint on especially lot 2, which is the one that's -4. Or sorry, point 4.
Wait,
Three.
let's
Don't
do
jump.
3, yeah,
Let's do
point 3.
So point 3,
Don't jump around because you're gonna confuse
not a problem.
me with nobody else.
I sent off this to Thunder County Board of Health. It is still in process, but we anticipate approval as I talked to Tisha Rothwell, and so this would be a simpler deal to. So the existing septic systems have just grown in footprint of both of these lots.
That's this house, right?
Nope, that's point 4.
Yes, to the right one.
No,
Three. I have 3 here.
yeah, 3. I don't have any maps. I don't have that map.
So the small street or the 4?
High timbers, 3.
Point 3 was 19. I'm not sure what I'm looking at.
The tax maps are wrong on maps. So you have to look for the project name.
Oh, so High Timber Farm. Okay.
I have it all separated.
Yeah, high timber farms. Yeah.
So
It should be-
Yeah, I got high timber.
Not 2 sets.
No, you have the second one.
I wasn't in here when you guys picked things up.
I got one. I think I'm
I
right.
got a high timber farms.
Okay, so this is the one that we're talking about without a footprint change. What I would call point 3. And not, and this would be point 4.
See.
Yeah. It's gonna have more substantial.
It says here.
But we gotta look at
Yeah,
what
both of them.
site plan we're looking at.
It's the same thing, so I two the same.
We've got a numbering issue here that we have to make clear.
Very good.
Is this is still 4?
That's what I would call point 4.
That's the
Okay,
same one I
that's
got
what
over
I
here.
have in my 5.3 package.
I don't have.
Wait a second, I'm totally confused.
That's
Yes.
what.
So
Yeah, so none of the plans are like very.
Do we have,
so this is-
anybody have 3?
is this 3 here?
I mean, I have something,
That's 4.
I have something called High Timber Farms. Is that 3?
That is 3,
Okay, so I
There's
have,
another name though, it's some other farm.
right, that's
I have this High Ridge Farm and High Timber Farm.
High Timber Farm is .3,
This is High Ridge.
High Ridge Farm .4.
Sorry, 4. Okay.
It's
Sets of.
this one.
sure.
Okay. But then when I showed you .3, you said it was .4, so it's the same, that's what's.
This one I refer to as lot 2.
This says High Timber Farm,
Boy.
I don't.
and this says High Ridge Farm.
So I'm working on my septic plans. This is the architectural stuff.
Well, I know, but we gotta know what we're
Apologize for the-
looking at.
Gotta be looking at the site plan.
Yeah.
This, is what I call lot 1, dot for them.
You're saying this is .3,
Yeah.
right? So.
Let's come in front of that.
And that. High Ridge Farm is .3.
Okay, and what's this?
Not with their chips. Yeah.
I got.
1 second. So,
That's just the architectural plan, so.
Oh, no, but the way it's labeled in the application, it has to be that one.
This says High Timber Farm, but you're saying it's not.
Nope, not, okay, here we go. High Ridge Farm.
Wait, I thought we were on High Timber.
There's 2 of them.
Yep, so on High Ridge Farm, this is the one we would be talking about first, is this is. Point dot 3.
These are the same.
That's what I have. Oh, no, no, no.
They're very similar, big and hot, so.
Wait, but this one says High
This is a
Timber
different
Farm.
house, okay, all right, I got it, I got it. I got it, I got
High
it.
Ridge. Dot 3.
So that's.
So High Ridge is .3.
yeah, High Ridge is .3 and High Timber.
Okay. All right, so we got that sorted out. We're talking about High Ridge. for-
Tom, is that a high ridge right there? In front? This one's high timber, I know that, because I had that one.
So now I have High Ridge here.
Calm down, please, quiet, please. We have a meeting going on here, it's not a place for a conversation,
Yeah. no,
take it outside.
This one says.
Okay. Okay, thanks. We can take care of that. Sure.
Cover the septic part of it.
Well, correct, we're looking for sketch plan approval so that they can go ahead and get a building permit to start a foundation, building on both of these lots.
We have to get you abbreviated site plan approval.
Okay, that's what I,
And did anybody do a SWIP?
yes, I did, only on dot 4. And that building footprint was greater than an acre.
It's not the building footprint, it's the area.
Everything, correct, yeah, it's greater than an acre on dot 4, but not dot 3. The septic system and the building footprint itself, they're both closer to the driveway, it's not quite as near as intrusive with the driveway, so it's only like 0.8 of an acre.
You're saying this is not an area disturbance with the septic?
Well, now this is,
Well, whose drawings are we looking at? Yours
I'm
or
going off of
somebody
this,
else?
I'm going off of this,
We don't have that one.
where the footprint is,
Yeah, that, so you need a SWIP there, probably.
okay, that's not a problem.
So we don't have any evidence that, we need some evidence. So,
I can provide evidence for 0.4 and give assurances that 0.3 will be coming forward.
Okay.
we also need driveway slope,
Okay, Yeah.
can't exceed 10%. I can't find anything. Unfortunately, these drawings, they can't even do any cursory check because scale is obviously too small.
uh,
Now, we're looking at drawings that don't agree with your septic plan, so I don't know what agrees with what.
so 0.4 was the one I had, it's the actual footprint for, and did the detailed septic plans that were changed more significantly from what was approved by Catskill, not just from 4 to 6 bedrooms, but in a new location with new deeds and perks, which have been done, and you've submitted those plans to Columbia County. For 0.3, the footprint is going to be in the same location as is the septic system, only growing from 4 to 6 bedrooms. So that was a simpler application to Columbia County Board of Health. And that, no new deeds or perks were required, and it's not a new design, really, it's just increasing the number of trenches and size to fill that.
So there were new pits, that's what's the first one.
In 0.4, yes.
Then we need the letter from.
It hasn't, the approval is in process, we've sent them in. For both the increase in bedroom counts for both of them and the change in location for this one. I started off with just doing the bedroom counts, and then they wanted to move the footprint on dot 4 because it's a better place to put the house.
Yeah, I understand the system has changed there.
There's that too.
Because you guys have to design them now in every case.
Yes, yeah, it's not very easy to just say, let's get it there.
Again.
Yeah.
Driveway slopes can't exceed 10%.
Okay,
I don't know what you have grading on some driveway, but we need information, even if it's existing. It still can't exceed 10%, so there's no information on a good part of the
Yeah,
driveway.
now, the driveway was put in before the last round of LiDAR shots. So there is accurate grading, contours available, you just have to lay them over a map.
We need them,
Yeah, understood.
we need them
So
because
that,
the fire chief has to.
yeah, 500 foot turnarounds and so on.
So, I don't know, what else, guys? What else?
I feel like you need to come back and we've got everything together.
Yeah.
There's no question.
Better
It's
set of
just,
plans and.
we want to give them, we want to send this to our engineer for review.
Without the plan, without the rest of it?
Well, we'd have to set up an escrow, if we were going to do that, so that when it came in.
Yeah, two separate.
So I don't know, what is your pleasure? We need revised drawings, and then if we decide to set up an escrow, so our engineer, I don't think we need a planning review, but I think we need maybe an engineering. What's your thoughts, guys?
Can we start the engineering review before he comes back at the next meeting?
Well, if we get the drawings in 2 weeks, we can send them to the engineer. I don't know what his turnaround is gonna be.
Oh, as far as the driveway profile, I can be quick, but I've already actually got most of the work done.
We knew we needed it.
Septic is well.
Yeah, you're a septic guy. I know you work for the septic department. Um,
So, the way forward to, set up two escrows. Have the engineering review and then have everything resubmitted in June meeting.
well, if it comes back by then,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
right now, board. of
Right, so you might not have, it, right?
yeah, I wouldn't come back unless you have everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Part of the reason why we did schedule this early though was
That's fine.
to see if we can get a foundation building permit from Ed Verado, which he said he was willing to do as long as he came for you.
Yeah. We don't have enough information to grant abbreviated site plan approval, so there's nothing we can give him
Okay,
to tell him it's okay.
so,
It's up to him if he wants to give you foundation.
but as far as the ASPR, you would need a driveway profile, and the approved one of county drawing.
And the SWIP,
Swip I have, well.
one SWIP,
Correct.
and. You know, we've been ignoring drainage, but I think that's gotta come to a stop at some.
Yeah, especially up on a hill like this. I mean, this is like, this is where those seeps are at the
Yeah.
bottom, yeah.
Yeah, nobody it's the country, so we don't care where the water goes, but eventually it's gonna start to cause flooding because. We're creating a lot of impervious surface, even compacted gravel is impervious, so. You know. I don't know, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, so septic,
Yeah, let's get a
road
complete
grading, and a
package first.
SWIP.
And I think we should have George one.
What?
I think we should have George one.
Yeah, I think we had to send it.
Yeah.
You know, rain gardens aren't that expensive to do.
Mhm.
You got a lot of runoff coming off these driveways. I don't know where it's gonna go.
Yeah, I'd have to go back out and on site, there's a lower side, of course, to every driveway.
And there's no erosion control. Joe,
Just silt fencing,
I don't see them. Oh, on the plan we don't have,
right, you were getting.
Right. Okay.
you know, we need a plan that shows everything. Yes, your engineering drawings are supplemental, but we need a site plan. And please not at this scale. This is
You bet.
hard. 2,500 inch. I think that should be. sufficient. I'd like to get a motion to set up escrow, each site plan, abbreviated site plan.
Sorry. Make a motion to set up a escrow for engineering review. On ASPR 26003 and a separate escrow for ASPR 26004. And it's for engineering review, and the other one was with James.
No, not George James, George,
No, our engineer Schmidt.
Oh, George, with George.
yeah, our site engineer, civil engineer. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so somebody needs to get $5,000
Yep.
All right.
checks.
Yes.
Okay. All very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He's vocal.
This is one of them, right?
Yeah.
Everything.
Everything is in there.
I think they should be here for that. Probably have.
Homeland Tower.
John.
Old business. Homeland Towers,
Yeah, let's look at John's.
I know what you requested, what your representatives are.
Hey.
Partial.
He's a busy guy. He's a busy guy.
Yeah, I know, so we proceeded with the order, if he was gonna walk in, we were gonna let him make his statement.
And we appreciate that. And again, for the record, my name is David Kenny, attorney with Snyder and Snyder, here tonight to represent the applicants Homeland Towers and Verizon Wireless. Our application has been before this board for some time now. At the last meeting, this board adopted a negative declaration for the seeker action. I believe tonight, there's been some discussions between my office and your attorney's office regarding a comment raised by a member of the public regarding a zoning code section that talks about one property, one use. We've submitted an argument that we feel that the telecom law does not include that restriction. And it's pretty emphatic that the telecom law amends the zoning code. And also the telecom law looks for a co-location on existing structures. To read that interpretation of one property, one use would be to rule out co-location on existing structures such as rooftops, existing silos, existing water tanks, and other existing uses would be prohibited, which are encouraged in the local law for telecommunications towers. So we just think it's not a reasonable interpretation that restriction applies to this use. However, if the board is going to submit that question to the zoning officer, we would support that. And then we're here tonight also to discuss any questions the board may have, as well as listen to the public. But we did want to put forth, although the chief isn't here tonight, he'll be able to speak to it at a future meeting and in a letter. Since our last application, there was a major car accident along Route 22. There was catastrophic injuries, and the first responders on scene did have experiences of poor service quality. They couldn't make phone calls. So it really reiterates the need that we're trying to accomplish here. We're really trying to fill in an important gap in service, and that your first responders have already experienced issues with this service gap during the interim of this application process. But we're here tonight to answer any questions the board may have, as well as listen to the public.
John, would you like to bring us up to speed where we are and what we're prepared to do? So that
Yes,
you hear
yes.
it from the horse's mouth?
Yep, John Lyons, Granton Lyons, counsel for the planning board. So Mr. Kenny just made a reference to the issue that was raised by Mr. Davis, who is the lawyer for one of the property owners, the party that owns property across the street from the site of the proposed project. And Mr. Davis raised the issue about the zoning law containing a provision that prohibits more than one principal use on the lot. And his argument is that provision of the zoning law would disallow the construction of a telecommunications tower on the proposed site, which is the site of an existing farm. Mr. Kenny, as he noted, has raised arguments in opposition to that position. And I think that it's fair to say that there are arguments on both sides and a need to get to a resolution of that issue, which involves an interpretation of the town of Ancrum zoning law. As you know from past occasions, the planning board does not have the authority to interpret the zoning law. So it's our recommendation to you that you should refer the question to the town code enforcement officer for determination. You may recall that we followed the same process in the case of the O&G mine. Ed Ferrato, who's your code enforcement officer, can make a determination on the issue. And then if any party is aggrieved by Ed's determination, then they'll have the ability under the zoning law to be able to appeal that to the Ancrum Zoning Board of Appeals. So our suggestion is tonight that the board make a motion to refer this question of interpretation to the zoning enforcement officer and to direct my office to communicate with Ed Ferrato's office and to provide him with the background information on that question and request on behalf of the board an interpretation of that issue.
Okay, should we do that now?
Yes.
Okay, so based on John's recommendation, can I get a motion to refer this with Grant and Lyons guidance to Ed Ferrato for an interpretation on whether there should be a separate lot created for the cell tower.
I'll make a motion with reference to Homeland Towers regarding the need for a separate lot for the tower structure, that we refer that question to the zoning enforcement officer at Verado and give guidance to our attorneys to communicate with Mr. Verado if needed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so
We
that's,
will follow through. We've been provided written materials setting forth the arguments by both attorneys. We'll provide those to Mr. Ferrato. The lawyers will also have an opportunity to communicate with Mr. Ferrato on their own subsequent to the referral. And then the next step will be for Ed to issue a determination.
do you think we should move on site plan? Or wait for some determination and wait for Nan, because Nan, our planner is ill and unable to attend the meeting, and she assists us with our site plan review and for. I don't know, what's your advice?
Well, I think you're in a position to move forward. So you issued your negative declaration at the last meeting. And you definitely are in a position to move forward on the site plan review, on special use permit review, and telecommunications law review. Nan's got shingles on her head and face, and it's gotten into her eye, and she has difficulty seeing and focusing. So anyway, she is getting better. I spoke to her today. She's already put the June 4th meeting on her calendar. And she'll be prepared to attend at that time via Zoom after her meeting in Dryden is over. And she can begin taking through the process of a portion of the review that's pursuant to the Ancrum zoning law.
She did give us a checklist.
Yeah, I
Prior.
gave you the checklist, and I would suggest that it would be just in terms of homework for the planning board members, that if you can review those checklists in advance of the June 4th meeting, it'll make the process of getting started and going through that analysis easier.
Okay, I guess let's just continue with the housekeeping while you're,
Okay.
um,
There's the other issue that I thought is ready to move now is you'll recall that you've received some comments from members of the CAC that have raised a variety of issues. I think some people have expressed disappointment that the board hasn't spoken to those issues. You may recall at the last meeting, I had mentioned that we're definitely aware of those issues, and we've looked through the substance. Just about everything in those comments, it pertains to the board's review of the project under the Ancrum zoning law. And I mentioned at the last meeting that the reason that those questions haven't been addressed yet is because the board was in the process of finishing up the seeker environmental review, and it was premature for us to get to those. But the time is ripe now to begin to address those issues. And I think a request had been made by one of the members who spoke about wanting to have the attorneys look at the issues that they've raised. So my suggestion to you tonight is to make a motion to refer those questions to our firm to take a look at those, to prepare a written report to respond, addressing those issues, and we'll do that in a document that is publicly accessible versus a document that would be attorney-client privilege. You'll respond in a document that can be posted on the website and made available to the public.
I'd like to add to that, that you have the right to reach out to our other three very capable consultants for their advice if you see the need for them to provide input to your responses or to respond.
Okay, thank you. We actually already have in consultant meetings, we've already touched the edges of some of the issues that have been raised.
Okay. Can I get a motion to instruct John to go ahead and respond to the comments from, I think it's Tom Ciano?
It would be, sorry, Conservation Advisory Committee or the individual?
I'm referring to it as an individual.
So I make a motion to authorize, our attorney, John Lyons, to respond to comments from, John.
Well, that's actually the primary, we'll take a look at everything, because there have been written comments that have been made across a number of months, but I believe that the key document that is mentioned often by the commenters is the December 2025 letter from I think it was Mr. Williamson. Okay.
Should I
Yeah.
refer to all comments from the public record?
No, specific to this letter.
Right, so is it?
I mean, there's a theme to the CAC comments. We'll take a look at all of them.
Okay, so
So make it with the CAC comments then?
Yes.
The motion for you to review.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
like
there you go.
Review and respond
Yeah.
with the appropriate assistance of our consultants.
So I make the motion for John Lyons, attorney, to respond to questions raised in the CSC letter during public comments period, to review those comments and to provide a report back to the board that will be available to the public.
Second? All in favor?
All right.
I want to amend that, sorry. And also to instruct John to reach out to our other consultants that are needed to advise.
On another, there was another request. I don't know if, Cityscape, are you on?
Elizabeth.
That be Elizabeth Smith?
Yes.
And
And Ben as Evans is also on tonight.
Hello,
Hi.
good evening. There was a request and we want to get it formally entered into the record for you to give us tower reduction heights and the coverage formally so that we could have it as part of the record. So if you went to from 100 to 80 to 60.
So you need a report from us about the tower height reduction from 100 to 80 to 60?
If the tower was to be reduced in height, is that correct, John? Is that what we're looking for?
I don't recall the numbers.
Yeah, I think it was 20-foot increments.
So
The propagation maps showed coverages at 95, the current antenna height, 75 and 55.
With to 100-foot, 80-foot, and 60-foot towers. So
We wanted.
Oh, you're referring to the tower height.
Yes,
Okay, I was talking about the antenna height would be just be 5 feet lower.
whatever increments industry standards uses, we want a formal response from you for the record.
you already have one. So you have a March 11th letter from Cityscape where they've gone through those differing heights of 75, 55, and they've confirmed that the 95 height is the minimum height for Verizon. So you have that in your March 11th report from Cityscape. Is the request for them just to review the materials that was provided and confirm that? I thought I was hearing that the request was for them, Cityscape, to provide their own propagation maps.
Yes,
They can't do that.
We can't do that.
okay,
They don't have the information to provide the propagation maps. And it's the same thing as if we were providing plans. You can't have your engineer draft up plans for a project. The application is we provide plans, and your consultants in this board reviews those plans, and then they confirm they meet the standards, or if they're not put together properly. So that's really what your consultant is doing here, is they're reviewing the information that Verizon's RF engineers have put forth. They're confirming if that meets the standard, if that meets what they normally review. They've asked questions regarding that. And through this process, we have reduced the tunnel height, but those heights were reviewed in supplemental reports prepared by Verizon. And Cityscape has on the record officially confirmed that 95 height is the minimum height for Verizon.
Is that acceptable, John?
In order to do what you're suggesting, we would need the
Yeah, I was
very,
asking for
very
something.
confidential information from Verizon, engineering information, which they don't release to anyone. Only their private consultants or engineers.
So I have a suggestion about how to proceed here.
Okay,
If-
looking for one.
If I'd like to be able to share with the folks at Cityscape the comment that gave rise to this request. And I agree that with David's statement that there's information about this in previous Cityscape reports, but it may be possible for us to clarify. I'd like to be able to share the comment with the folks at Cityscape and for us to be able to just have something presented to the board in response that's directed exactly at that comment and clarifies the issue.
Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah, and Elizabeth will reach out to you to talk to you about it.
Yes, please do. We'll be happy to. Yeah, we can do that. No problem.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I have no problem with this, discussing your consultants, but there is nothing that's unclear. It's emphatic in the report. The minimum center line height's 95. This isn't even the first time they've stated it. So this is a restated report where they're trying to be even more clear than in previous statements. So
Can we?
I know you can discuss, but
we want John to be satisfied.
I understand, but there's on
Maybe
the
that's all it takes. Maybe that's all it takes. We want to dot every I and cross every T.
All right, Vincent Xavier, manager for Homeland Towers. Who did the comment come from? I'm curious. Who's asking for these maps, which you've already submitted? Can you tell me?
It's Amy Gold.
She asked for a chart to be filled in.
Yeah.
Is she a member of the town or?
Yes.
Or just a citizen
And the town board.
She is a board member.
of the town? Okay. Well, you know, I just want to make sure, because it seems like every question we get, we're going to direct the attorneys to work with Cityscape and everyone else to answer every single question that have been answered, asked and answered. We can't really drag this out every time somebody asks a question to direct all of the consultants who are charging me $1,000 every time they show up to one of these meetings to answer these questions, which have already been asked and answered. I don't understand. You know, at some point we need to get to a decision here. And if there are any questions or comments or things, I would ask that we have them all as soon as possible. Because we're already having to go through the zoning administrator to have a decision on something that really, he already did actually decide on. At the beginning of this process, the zoning officer makes a determination as to what variances are required. And this variant for a use / accessory use was not deemed required. Now, every time a question comes up, we're being asked to individually inspect everything, and we're dragging this out. It's an unnecessary burden and cost on me as the applicant, on the timeline of this process. And if there are any additional comments or questions, I think we should have them all now. And at some point, close this public hearing after the zoning officer makes his determination so that we can move forward. Because piecemealing this down the line is just going to drag this out unnecessarily, and it's really not fair to me as an applicant. So I don't think every single thing needs to be referred to every single consultant, especially when everything's already been on the record, and we can go through that again if you'd like.
I do agree, there's got to be a finish line.
No, we're not asking for the public to speak right now.
And-
They're the applicant.
So I just want to say to your comment, Don, so part of what we're trying to do is to run some of these things in parallel. Okay, you guys haven't started the site plan review process part of this. You'll be doing that at the next meeting. We're gonna be trying to get these things going in the interim, so the applicant isn't losing time. That we're running these things all at the same time, so that's, we're trying to be conscious of that.
No, I
as we move
understand.
forward, and there
But-
have been,
Both parties have a right to their information and their questions answered. And if it's a financial burden on the applicant, we got to come up to a point where all the questions come down to you and we get the information on it, and it's got to be, at some point, it's got to be finished, because it has been, question after question after, ongoing. And if we keep, accepting more questions and more issues, it's just going to drag this whole process out. So I think there should be some way that we can, but, I'm asking you, that we can finalize all the questions that we need to get answers on and accept no other ones, we'll ask the public to just finalize all their questions in one date. Get those questions, get the answers, and then everybody can be satisfied with, the answer that comes about.
okay, so I hope you'll pardon me because your comment is a good one, and it probably stems from the fact that I didn't explain in sufficient depth about what we're doing here. So we've identified elements of the CAC comments as raising issues that you as board members are going to have to answer when you start going through the site plan review and the telecommunications law review. And the issue regarding the coverage, it's not just one person. There have been comments that have been received from other people about clarity on whether this height is
Justified.
the lowest height that will do the job, and there are elements of the telecommunications law standards that you guys are going to have to make decisions
I
about on that
completely
issue.
agree.
So we're just trying to look ahead to those issues before you get to them,
Oh.
and to try to get you the clarity on that so that you can move through those issues efficiently when you come upon them.
I agree 100%.
And I will.
All
tell
I'm
you
saying is that we need to get to a point where we have all those questions and get those answers.
Yes.
This way, the public is, asked their questions and, put up their concerns. We've gotten the answers and we can make a decision together. And, I understand that it just keeps going and going, but,
We're not just throwing anything at the wall. We're looking at issues that
No,
are going to, these are issues that are going to present themselves later. And if we can get out in front on those, we think that's going to add to
We spent
a
a lot of,
more efficient process.
we spent a lot of time on the EAF to make sure that we dotted every I and crossed every T.
that's what we have to.
And there's a very specific reason for that. And I don't think I have to explain that to anyone.
I'm just saying that,
So
But I understand where you're coming from.
they want it to end. We want it the public to have their concerns answered.
we all want it to end.
No,
Yes,
of course.
yes.
but,
no
We
question.
we want this to
Want everybody
proceed
to
as
be-
efficiently and as quickly as possible for everyone. You guys aren't interested in going forever on this, and certainly isn't, the applicant
Right.
isn't, but you have to fill your,
Of course,
fulfill
of course.
your responsibilities as a reviewing board too.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we've covered a lot of the issues that are gonna come up in the site plan review.
Yes, I think you covered a lot of ground during the environmental review. It's going to serve you well when you start looking at the
Yeah.
site plan. So.
Okay. David, you want to?
Just one quick statement. It's not that we're asking for this to end sooner. My only comment was the specific question regarding coverage and minimum height was a question asked multiple times to your consultant. They've emphatically answered it here. So whether or not there's multiple additional comments on height and minimum height, and whether the public understands the consultant's answer, that's not the issue. You hired an expert consultant because these were technical issues, and you referred those questions to your consultants who have answered them very clear and emphatically. The standard's not to make sure that everybody who's objecting to the application accepts the answer. The standard is your consultant who's been the expert in the room, if they've done it to your standard, to your satisfaction.
Thank you. Okay. I don't know. Should we open the public hearing?
Yeah.
If you have something to state, Excuse me?
Can I make a motion?
Yeah, well, it's continually open, isn't it? We don't,
Well, you should make a motion to reopen the public hearing, I said.
can we make a motion?
Make the motion to reopen the public hearing for Homeland Towers.
I'll
Second,
second.
all in favor? Aye. Okay. Yes,
Hi, my name is Susan O'Sullivan and I come here wearing two hats this evening. One as a resident of Ancrumdale and the other as a member of the CAC. And I want to thank the attorney for Homeland for bringing up the unfortunate terrible accident that happened up in Hillsdale. Only because it kind of addresses part of my letter. It's a very quick letter. It's only 2 paragraphs. I'd like to read it.
I'm not sure if it's bringing up the Hillsdale one or the one in 22, right?
It was in 22 and 23, wasn't it?
No.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, okay, it still addresses the emergency.
yeah, that was a tractor trailer or a gas truck or something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but this is it still addresses the emergency services. Excuse me. Dear Joe and members, my name is Susan O'Sullivan, and my family and I have been coming to this area for 45 years. Our love for this area is why my husband and I moved to Ancrumdale 5 years ago when we retired. I from teaching and he after 27 years as a lieutenant in the FDNY. To us, Ancrumdale and surrounding towns hold wonderful memories, both old and new, of holidays, of sledding, hiking, glorious sunsets, open spaces, rolling hills, and I remember when the farmer's wife was called General Store. These are just some of the reasons why we chose to settle. I've driven north and south on Route 22 hundreds of times and have always marveled at the expansive vistas of the scenic corridor overlay zone. The beauty of this area is unmatched. I appreciate the serenity it offers when driving or just looking out from Kite Hill. For me and my family, the calm we feel here and the views that surround us are the reasons we came and want to stay. As a member of the Conservation Advisory Council, I would like to address the issue of our local emergency services need for a cell tower. There already exists a dedicated infrastructure called FirstNet to handle gaps in transmission service. FirstNet is a federally established express lane for emergencies that prioritizes traffic on existing networks and already covers the stretch of Route 22, where Homeland is looking to place the proposed tower on behalf of Verizon. FirstNet was built specifically after 9/11, so that even if a consumer tower is congested, emergency calls can go through. FirstNet's emergency system functions with a specific antenna that can be placed on top of existing structures such as silos, barns, and buildings along Route 22. I, as a member of this community and a member of the Conservation Advisory Council, am asking you to consider this option to both assist our emergency workers and preserve our community's character. It's much less of an eyesore. Sincerely, Susan O'Sullivan, and I have a copy of this. Submit this. There's one for each of you. Have fun.
Thank you.
I just want to make one quick statement, and that is that, and I don't have the technical know-how or wisdom, but the FirstNet is nationwide now. It's meant to override congested towers and cell phone towers. And Verizon's is still on it. They have one as well. The name is escaping me. That's okay. And theirs is still part of the community service, so that if there's 1,000 calls on Verizon at the time, they don't what's it? FirstNet? No. I'm sorry. I'm not that well versed as some of the other members of the CAC are, but the FirstNet is dedicated to emergency service workers or just that. And Verizon's is not. It's for the community and it doesn't have an override mechanism. That's what my point is, that there's a lot to compare. A cell tower versus antennas on silos and barns that are less obtrusive, and will blend in easier rather than 100 or an 85 or 60, whatever foot tower with all kinds of other antennas attached to it. Thank you.
Just, the cell tower is not only for emergency services. We have an applicant that made an application and we have to review it in its entirety.
Right.
For its use.
Right, now I was addressing the emergency service
I understand.
issue. That's why
And
I was speaking to that. And
Unfortunately, the fire chief was expected to be here this evening and he must have got tied up. And there was some response from him why that
He uses an app that requires cell phone.
Go get them.
Yeah, our clerk is familiar. She's a fire person.
We'll have Pete Boyce come to a future meeting and also write him the letter, so he couldn't be here tonight, but we'll make sure that his comments are on the record.
Right, okay,
Okay, thank you, Jim.
thank you.
Thank you.
You wanna?
Good evening, Chairman Crocco, members of the planning board. I'm Wally Williamson. I believe I may have been the author on that December 4th letter, but I'm also a member of the CAC. And I'm speaking both as an individual, a resident of Akron, and as a member of the CAC. I'm very glad to have heard tonight that you are referring the concerns raised in that December 4th letter to Mr. Lyons, because we believe they raised legitimate and substantial legal concerns about the compliance of this application with our telecommunications law and our scenic corridor.
We're not agreeing their concerns. We're
Pardon me?
forwarding, we're not agreeing their concerns. We're forwarding them for their response.
Correct.
What the response is may not agree with your interpretation.
Understood.
Okay.
Understood. And we're looking forward to hearing it. And Mr. Lyon, we're also calling your attention to a letter of December 3rd that the CAC submitted, and December 2nd, because they raised legal issues too that obviously should be and will be dealt with.
But those both 2025.
Yes. What I want to point out tonight, since it's clear that the applicant agrees that it must comply with local law. There's no right to build a cell tower in a zone restricted by legislation to the preservation of scenic values or rural values like the SCOZ.
That's not true. It's a permitted use in that zone.
It is a permitted use,
Yeah.
but it must comply with the requirements of the law. And I believe the applicant agrees with that. We've raised concerns about the compliance with the law, and you pointed out that those are going to be reviewed by council, which we're very happy to see and to hear. What I'd like to point out is that I have heard very often the planning board raising concerns about emergency responder services and 911 services. There is no need to be concerned about this because, as I understand it, 911 services are available in the SCOZ through AT&T and T-Mobile. When a person having a Verizon phone calls 911 from the SCOZ, that 911 request will be routed through another provider like AT&T. You have a question?
No.
And the same is true with emergency worker and emergency responder services. If there's a need to use a service like that, radio services are available to emergency services like FirstNet and can be used by emergency workers. So what I'm pointing out is that the planning board should not be concerned about emergency services or 911 services. The concern should be, does the cell tower application comply with our local laws? And we have pointed out that it does not. Thank you.
Okay, I'm taking my clerk hat off, putting my Sarah member of the public hat on. I've been a fireman for 16 years. I had FirstNet until July of last year when I was unable to renew it because it would not accept the phone identification given to me by the fire company. FirstNet only works if there is self-service. I live in the Scotts. I could stand in my driveway with no service, unable to make a call with FirstNet. FirstNet is not, it doesn't replace the necessity for cell phone service. Additionally, the fire company uses an app called I Am Responding, which also relies on there being cell phone service. Radio communications in that area are also poor. It is something our county is aware of, and we discussed with them frequently. Radio communications are not always reliable there. And FirstNet doesn't always work either when there is service. I was in a very, very crowded place. I had FirstNet. It told me I had 3 bars. I still did not have priority over the rest of the network to make a phone call or a text. I mean, I was very crowded. However, I just thought I'd give you my experience as a FirstNet user.
Didn't the chief also indicate that it was also the intercommunication?
Between firemen, yeah.
And
Between.
It's not only to put in, I had an accident and I need an ambulance. It's so that the fire department can
We can communicate. with each
communicate,
other.
yes.
We use IM responding to show if we're responding to a call. That way the command has an idea of who's coming, if additional help will be needed and requested. Yeah, that's what I have to offer as someone who's used FirstNet and no longer uses FirstNet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come over here, put your other hat back on.
All right, other than that, one back here.
Hi, Derek Moser. I'm part of the fire company as well. I have not used FirstNet. But secondhand, I've heard from plenty of firefighters around this county that it does not stand up to what it claims to do. That it is let plenty of firefighters down, who've got it with great promises, and they've been frustrated and then they've gotten rid of it. And as far as that corridor is concerned, I've been down it plenty of times and I know I would service through there and I'd be happy to have service in that area. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one question, honestly. As I understand, FirstNet may or may not be good and you've used it and I respect that. My question is, I'm of the understanding that FirstNet works off of a special antenna, not a tower. So I'm wondering if there are antennas or enough antennas that are not as obtrusive as a tower would be in that corridor or even around Ankrum.
I'm sorry, but that's not what we're here for. We're not here to erect other antennas. We're here for the purpose of the cell tower. I'm sorry, we can't just
I
tell people
understand
to
that,
put
Joe.
antennas
I'm
up.
just thinking there might be other options besides, because
There might
as
be.
the CAC member, we're saying we feel that the tower in the beautiful scenic overlay zone is obtrusive and we don't want,
We hear you. We
okay,
hear
so I'm
you.
just saying the alternative might be antennas, and if that's a possibility, I would.
We don't have that authority. So it's a moot point. We can't do it.
Okay, I thank you very much.
Thank you.
And to answer your question, FirstNet requires a cell phone signal.
Okay.
If I'm SOS, it doesn't matter that I have FirstNet. I still can't make a call or text or do anything. It requires cell phone signal. It's just priority on the network.
Okay, thank you.
Once the cell tower goes up and FirstNet will be functioning.
FirstNet is specific to AT&T, so this cell tower is relevant at the moment.
Yeah.
So FirstNet is an AT&T program. I don't know if Verizon has one. I don't have Verizon coverage. I have AT&T because it's what gets some coverage sometimes.
Yes.
But regardless, that program requires you to have cell phone service to use it.
That's people. We're not sure what happened to the Verizon.
I don't know if Verizon has.
That isn't even our primary concern.
Correct.
I want to address Chairman Crocco's concern that, or raise that the planning board does not have authority to require less obtrusive means of cellular communication. We're not suggesting that. What we're saying is that if less obtrusive means are available, or if the applicant hasn't shown that what they need to achieve could be accomplished with less obtrusive means, then the planning board should reject the application. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, so we're gonna. You have to respond.
Just real quick, very, very quick. So this is kind of the purpose of you guys having an expert. A lot of these comments here tonight were kind of all over the place. First off, whether or not AT&T has service in this area, you're requiring my applicant show coverage maps. We're requiring to have data reviewed by an expert consultant. You can't accept someone just standing up here and saying AT&T has service. I mean, that is not a standard you have for the applicant for what is documenting service in this area. Again, regarding any kind of just general objection to aesthetics, not a specific one, a general, the case law is clear on that. This has also been answered in prior applications. That's not a supportable reason to deny the application. FirstNet also was something that we discussed in past applications, and we discussed about also less objectionable sites being like smaller towers and multiple antennas. You had Cityscape look into that. That was already discussed. We were looking at these things. So again, this is just highlighting the reasons where a lot of these questions that are being brought up, it's not that we just haven't had a satisfactory answer. We've had a complete exact answer on the issue. We're just forgetting that answer, and we keep asking the same question again.
Yeah, I agree. This application's gone on for a long time. And some of what's provided has been sort of forgotten. Not that it's not in the file, but we can't keep it all in our heads, unfortunately.
And I know these things are very complicated. Say it again.
Ben Evans has his hand up. On Zoom.
All right, well, before he goes, let me just go. In short, just as the applicant, I really don't have any more information I can give you. We've answered all the questions. There's no other design options I can give you. There's no other maps I can show you. We're really to the point where we need to go through the checklist that's been provided. After, I guess, Mr. Lyons answers the CAC questions more, but really there's nothing else I have that I can give you as far as information. I really think we're at the point to go through the checklist and just make a decision. We know this is important. We know this is a dead zone. We know this will fill the gap. We know this is the lowest we can go as confirmed by Cityscape. The tower will be designed for Verizon, but we are going to design it structurally to support AT&T and T-Mobile as well. And I hope to entice them to jump on the tower at lower levels as soon as possible, which will be what FirstNet uses. Their AT&T is just another antenna, part of AT&T's network. But really, I have nothing else left to give you. And really, we just need to get to the end of this and make a decision one way or the other.
Can I have one question for you, and it keeps coming up.
Yeah.
As the developer, and they're gonna be the owner of the tower. Have you had any interest, or would you entertain any interest in the 20-foot extension?
To go higher? Nobody's asked me to go higher.
Okay.
No.
So can we get a commitment from you as part of the approval if we decide to approve it, that you would not allow an extension?
I don't even think that's lawful, but.
So the issue with that is that it's technically not this client's right. So the way that the federal law works is that co-locator. So if T-Mobile comes and they propose an application that's 20 foot tall, 20 foot up, even if this board put in a condition of approval that says you can't increase the height by 20 feet, the federal law allows for that increase in height. So it's right now, all we can tell you is that from our standpoint, we've designed the tower to have space below. So if anybody wanted to extend that tower, they would have to take an additional expenditure to expand the tower and increase the height to get that additional height. That would require additional money. So we think from a standard where we've had a lot of sites, more likely than not, they will make a business decision to go at the lower available rad center than to spend that additional money to get an additional 10 or 20 feet height. We can't guarantee that. But that is from our expertise in the industry. More likely than not, when I do a co-location application, which I've done several, it is like 95% of the time a co-location in an existing rad center below the tower. It's very rare that they're going to increase the height of the tower unless there is a legitimate need for that, where they're going to spend additional money to do that.
Can the tower be designed so it can't be extended 20?
I don't think so, because from a structural standpoint, again, we have to over-engineer the tower to provide not only the space for what the equipment is being proposed today, but the equipment for tomorrow. Not even for the co-locators, but if Verizon wants to put up heavier antennas, put up additional antennas, we have to engineer for that. And again, the point of what I'm talking about, the discussion about the increase in height as being tied to money. So if you prohibit an increase on this tower from 100 feet to 120 feet, if you say it can't happen, and we design the tower, we build in things that it can't happen, Then if they really did need 120 feet in height, you're gonna have a 120-foot tower next door, and there's not really much you can do about it.
Every carrier's been throwing power.
And again, your code does ask for the co-location, which is why we provided the co-location below. We've reduced the height of the tower from 150 feet to 100 feet. I know there was some discussions about maybe a higher tower would have provided more coverage to certain other areas, but we've lowered the height of the tower through this process, so.
That's the application before, the Bowman Tower, the Verizon, for this site.
John, did you want to add something to that? Sorry.
Yes, thanks. We don't have to settle this tonight, but the tower is like an apartment building. And the landlord can say, make the rules about what's going to happen on the structure. So if you say AT&T, I'm not going to rent to you a co-location spot on the tower. If what you want to do is to go 20 feet higher than 100 feet, you're free to be able to do that. And the fact that David's correct that the law allows it, but that doesn't mean that the owner of the tower has to allow it. And also with regard to conditions, applicant is free to voluntarily agree to conditions that a board wants to place on an approval, even if they're not necessarily something that's required by the law. So
That was my question about the extension.
Again, to the point is that if we could, let's say we cap the tower at 100 feet and never goes up. If someone needed 120-foot height, that means a second tower or a third tower gets built in the area.
We will deal with that if it happens.
We don't have to allow that.
We don't have,
subject to review and compliance with the Ancrum law.
right.
Thank you. I want to address what I thought I heard counsel say, which was that planning board does not have a right to reject the application just because less obtrusive means might be available. I want to read to the planning board from the Second Circuit's decision in the Clarkstown case, which we have, the CAC has called to the attention. The Second Circuit said, and I'm quoting large, in individual permit cases involving specific applications to build specific facilities on specific sites where particular aesthetic concerns over particular sites are at stake, and local governments can reject an application for approval of the construction of a wireless service facility on the grounds that less intrusive means for providing service can be utilized. And we call that to your attention, Mr. Lyon, in the December study. Thank you.
All right, he's reading case law. So the statement he just read was actually in support of my prior statement. A generalized visual objection. So a generalized aesthetic objection cannot stand. So the point of that was because the CAC have been making these statements. They don't live near the tower, the two commenters tonight, and they made these statements without any specific impact of the visual. It's just a general blanket against any kind of cell tower in this area. So that is a generalized objection based on aesthetics. Case law that he just read talked about particular objections. So there is a difference. It has to be a particularly defined impact. Here again, also, my statement wasn't that you can't deny the application for less intrusive alternatives. What I'm saying is that less intrusive alternatives were reviewed by this board and by the cityscape, and we have gone through that there are no available less intrusive alternatives.
Can I make one suggestion on this? We are going to have a lot of these arguments reviewed by our attorney, and we're going to get a report back on that to us. Because we can't debate these issues, these legal issues here in the meeting. We're not going to go over and come to a conclusion on them. We can make statements about whether we think they're right or not, but I think we really need that legal review back to us to be able to interpret it. So I appreciate everything that's being said, you know, and it kind of goes into the record and makes a point of it, but I don't think it's advancing the process.
We're going in a circle.
I appreciate
It's-
that, but I, as an attorney, my applicant, when I hear someone speak, misquote case law, I have to get up here and I have to correct the record. And to be honest, you guys have a board that usually said 5 minutes to speaking, and then I usually get up, I waited until everyone spoke, and made my last sentence, and now you have more public speakers going on. So
I'm
if we're going in
trying to
circles-
say also for the audience too, that, we're hearing this, right? We're looking forward to a review of it on these issues. And that's a time that we'll be able to consider it.
I want to point out that when council says that the CAC has raised only generalized objections, not specific, that's not how we see it. We have said that this particular tower, sited where it's supposed to be sited, cannot be camouflaged as required by the law, and we've submitted photographs.
So these questions were already submitted. They're with John Lyons. We're gonna review them and have them reviewed by our council and our specialists. And that'll help us later on for a decision. But by going back and forth, it's not really helping anything.
So, okay, thank you.
I understand Cityscape.
Yes.
Yeah,
That-
can we let Cityscape in, please?
Yes, there seems to be some misconceptions about FrontLine, FirstNet. FirstNet operates from cell towers. Maybe people don't understand that. They operate from cell towers, from AT&T cell towers. They use the same infrastructures as AT&T. They use the same antennas that are used by commercial subscribers to AT&T. The antennas. So yes, the antennas that FirstNet uses are specialized, but they're the same antennas that are used by the commercial wireless providers. If you see a cell tower, if AT&T is on it, chances are very likely that FirstNet would also have their network on those towers. And another point here is this was first discussed at the March 12th meeting. It was implied. I think it's implied that anyone with a personal wireless phone that dials 911 and is in the commercial AT&T coverage area can access the FirstNet network. That's absolutely not true. AT&T is a partner with FirstNet in providing public safety communications. AT&T is a partner with FirstNet. AT&T does not own the FirstNet spectrum. The FirstNet network is completely separate from any commercial wireless network. FirstNet is not accessible to the general public. It's used exclusively by first responders to communicate with each other. First responders, public safety officials, and public safety volunteers. Now, subscribers to Verizon, T-Mobile, or even AT&T can't make calls on the FirstNet network unless they're in they're public safety workers or volunteers and have a FirstNet subscription and a FirstNet ready phone. The way it works is when a commercial wireless subscriber, say Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, that needs emergency services and dials 911, the call is routed by their own wireless provider. the subscriber's own wireless provider to a call center. The call does not go to FirstNet. Regular subscribers cannot get on the FirstNet network. The call taker at the call center then dispatches emergency help from the nearest municipal or county fire, police, or medical service. So a Verizon subscriber needs to be in the Verizon coverage area in order to complete a 911 call from their Verizon mobile phone. And another thing, it's easy to say that all you need for FirstNet coverage is to put an antenna on top of a silo. Well, what are how are the silos 100 feet, 80 feet, or are they lower? And are they strong enough to support the cellular antennas that are used for the FirstNet network? It's interestingly, I guess, all like it's been mentioned, Verizon has their own version of FirstNet. It's called Frontline. If this new tower is approved and built, it might be it could be used as a site for Verizon's Frontline network, which again is a separate network from the commercial side, where that most people use. So
is that the gist of it?
Yeah, I was just about to wind up. Sorry for taking up your time.
Okay. I think we're gonna call it a night for this tower and move on. John, do you have anything in closing?
Yes, I have a suggestion. Since Nan has already indicated that she's definitely going to be able to attend your meeting in June, and you've heard a lot, my suggestion is going to be that you have to keep the public hearing open into the portion of the review under the zoning law, but my suggestion is going to be that you continue the public hearing to the July meeting to leave yourselves free to really be able to dive into the Ancrum zoning law parts of the review when it comes up at the meeting in June.
Okay, and you'll have responses for us for the June meeting.
Yes.
Thank you. All right.
Mike Sawyer has his hand up.
Okay, I mean, this is the last one, so let him in.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just wanted to very briefly respond to the Cityscape representative. I think he was conflating points that members in the community were making as far as I understand them. They were separately saying FirstNet runs on AT&T. That has nothing to do with 911. What they're saying is, and this is on the Verizon website, if you have Verizon phone service and you don't have coverage in an area, if you dial 911, it will be routed to another network such as AT&T or T-Mobile. That's on the Verizon website. That is what people in the community are saying. They're not conflating 911 with FirstNet. They are separate points. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. That being said, can I get a motion to?
So make a motion to hold over the public hearing to the July 2026 meeting.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Just a comment to the gentleman in the corner, your lights on in your phone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. You don't need permission.
What's that? We're gonna take a little break here for a couple of minutes.
Oh, yeah, can I stand up for a second?
Sure.
Oh, please.
No, you just took a recess, but I'll send it also in an email just for record. The shot clock was previously extended till tomorrow night. The date of the July meeting is July 7th. What was the July 2nd?
I gotta look.
Okay.
To tell you, I will. Come on, Paul.
Probably, yeah, I think July 2nd. It's on Thursday.
Yeah, I just want to extend it to the
Yeah,
next.
July.
But a July 3rd is probably not going to be a good day to extend to. So let me extend it to July 6th. And then obviously between now and then, we can always extend it further. But that at least gives us some breathing room in case the July 3rd meeting or July 2nd meeting is canceled. We have some time.
Thursday.
Can you
Sure.
do-
What's the
can-
Thursday?
Can you do it to the 9th?
Yeah, July 9th.
Because
Done.
we may
That's my
talk
mom's
about,
birthday. We'll do that.
we may talk
Oh,
about, maybe.
now I gotta be here, right?
Maybe we want to move the July 2nd meeting to the 9th.
So we'll extend the shot clock now to July 9th.
Because it's a long holiday weekend.
Okay, so yeah, we'll extend it to July 9th. If the date for the meeting is rescheduled, we can always extend the shot clock further if there's a new date scheduled.
You've been very accommodating with your clock. Okay, next application. Next application on old business is Ankrum Solar PV LLC. Special use permit 24-005. John, would you like to bring us up to where we are with this application?
Yes. So as you'll recall, one of the last things that happened on this application is that the applicant submitted a new batch of materials. Those were sent out to Nan Stolzenberg and George Janes, who's your visual impact consultant, for review. Kim and I had a chance to meet with George and Nan a couple of weeks ago. As I mentioned to you earlier, Nan's progress is slowed by her illness, but I believe that the reviews have been completed by both of them on the new materials, and they're in the midst of writing their reports to you, and you'll have reports from them prior to the June 4th meeting. I believe that they're going to be telling you that the new batch of materials is not sufficient and still does not address the concerns that have been expressed to the applicant, particularly about visual impact reviews, and they will detail that in the reports that are coming out to you. They'll be I know Nan will be here to be able to present her report to you. You'll get something in writing before that, and then I'm trying to arrange for George James to be present at the June 4th meeting to also be able to present his comments and also answer any questions you have. Our suggestion in terms of your consultant team is that we've really gotten to the point. We've kind of been in a loop with the applicant with expressing concerns and accepting material that's been submitted to try to address those concerns. And I think we're at a point where we really need to decide, where the board needs to decide to go, take the process forward. So I think that at your meeting on June 4th, Nan will take you back to the full environmental assessment form. The board went through that form already. You identified, I believe, 6 moderate to large impacts when you went through that form. At the June 4th meeting, you should take a look at those moderate to large impacts after hearing the discussion from Nan and from George, and have a discussion amongst yourselves about whether you think those moderate to large impacts have been adequately addressed and present mitigation that brings the impacts of the proposed project below the level of significance. And then start having a discussion about whether a positive declaration or a negative declaration is as the appropriate decision as your determination of significance. And I'll just remind you that a negative declaration is a statement by the lead agency that there are no significant adverse environmental impacts presented by the project. And the seeker environmental review ends after a negative declaration is issued. A positive declaration is a statement by the board that you have identified significant moderate to large impacts that have not been mitigated by the design of the project, and that further study is needed in the form of an environmental impact statement. If you issue a positive declaration, then the next step that we would take after that would be to draft a scope for the environmental impact statement, meaning that the scope is really just a table of contents for what the environmental impact statement needs to address. And those would be centered on the moderate to large impacts that you've identified that haven't been mitigated below the level of significance. And the scope identifies those issues and then specifies for the applicant who's going to have to draft the environmental impact statement exactly what content should be provided as part of the environmental impact statement. And then if you get to that point, if your decision is to issue a positive declaration, Nan and George will help you in the drafting of the scope. And then that's turned over to the applicant to draft an environmental impact statement, which they will go off and do. And then that gets submitted to you once it's ready. And you review it with the assistance of your consultants. And also there'll be a public hearing. It'll be made public and there'll be a public hearing on the draft environmental impact statement. I think that if things go in that direction, one of the things that will be beneficial to the board is that it's going to provide, it's traditional for the lead agency to have some back and forth with applicants before the determination of significance is made, to see if the proposed project can be revised or design changes can be implemented to address the moderate to large impacts that the board's identified. But there isn't really a structure to that. And as you can see with this, sometimes the lack of structure is not helpful. The environmental impact statement process has a very definitive structure and process. It's going to allow you to really control in a better way the information. You're going to be able to specify exactly what information you're seeking and what standards that information should meet. And I think that structure is going to lend itself to there being more clarity about some of the issues that just haven't been cleared yet because of the quality of some of the materials that have been submitted. So that's just a little bit of a peek ahead at what's coming up for this application.
John, I was just told this evening that we received a PowerPoint from the applicant that we're just made aware of. I don't know how we should handle it.
I don't know. I'm not even aware of it.
I don't know what's in it. I don't know
what to do with it. We'll have to see. I mean, my suggestion to the applicant is if we can make it through Sarah is to don't submit anything further. We have to get to a point where we close the
and it's 10 days.
The record that we're looking at, so that you guys, if you're going to make a determination of significance, we just can't have stuff continuing to come through the mail slot while they're trying to make a decision.
The only thing new in my mind is we forwarded the landscape design from our landscape consultant.
Yeah. And I know George and Nan have some opinions about that. So that's something that we can discuss at the meeting in June 4th.
Okay, so you think we should just hold off?
Well, you can talk about it now if you want to get a head start, and that's fine. But
okay.
So that's where we are, and that's what the plan is for the next meeting.
Would you like to, please?
Okay, good evening. For the record, my name is Sierra Hopkins. I'm a project manager for Rick Energy, the applicant for Ancrum Solar. I want to start by saying I appreciate the comments from the town attorney. We would love to get to the point of making a decision. We agree, kind of like the previous application, that we've been going in a bit of a circle and trying to get to what materials the board needs to make a decision, and we've tried to make edits accordingly. And we've asked for comments from all of your consultants and everything, and I think we have most of them at this point. The PowerPoint that I sent earlier this afternoon was just screenshots of the landscape architects' reviews. I thought if we were going to talk about them tonight, it would be helpful to have them up so we could all look at them, assuming that you had had the time to look at them before this. I understand that we might be getting more comments on that now from your other consultants, but I was prepared to discuss those landscape comments tonight. And I thought that it would just be helpful if we could put it up. So that's all that was. It's not anything new, nothing from the applicant on that. So in regards to kind of getting to the point of making a determination for seeker, we have done, part of the part 2, and a lot that came out of that was relating to the visual impacts. That's at the point where I think George Janes was brought on to do a visual impact assessment. We did respond to those comments. The board asked us to respond in writing to those. So we did that in March, as well as we combined all of the previous VIAs that we had done, since he mentioned that he did not receive all of them. So I hope that he has that now. We haven't received anything, further from him. I understand all that communication is going through the board, and we're not directly communicating with him or any of the other consultants.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So yeah, I wanted to talk about that. And I think out of that, the visual impact discussion around the part 2 also came the interest of hiring a landscape architect to review the proposed screening that we had on site. In reviewing those comments, which it was really more of a proposal. He didn't have any specific comments. He just kind of added, to the
It was a full length
screening.
plan.
Yeah, right. It wasn't like comments about our plan. It was just like his own plan. A lot of it centered around and focused on residents, private residents, which I understand is part of the review for the code, but that is not part of the review for seeker. I want to be really clear that the question that seeker asks related to visual impacts is from public vantage points. So the landscape comments and the plan that was created and proposed is not looking at the viewpoints that are, from Route 82 or any of the other public vantage points. So that's a big thing to make sure that we consider properly. So I don't know if you want to start going over, have any thoughts about the landscape architect's design?
What's the board's pleasure? Like to go to the rest of the EAF, try to get through it with the outstanding comments? I think that's what we should probably follow. But the landscaping will be secondary to us making that decision, so. Let us go through these comments, and you could take a seat again and.
Oh, okay. I guess I'll also add that in that March submission, we did make the change from pole mounted equipment to pad mounted equipment. So I just wanted to highlight that as well.
Okay, great. Yeah. There's some outstanding items. I thought, you don't think we should? I mean, you want us to wait for Nan? I thought that was. Okay.
Because you need, I think before you go through those comments, you need to get the reports back from Nan and George on the material, on the package from March that the applicant submitted.
That's the. Okay, I mean, that's fine with me. I just,
And I think you
Thought
guys
was
are
our intention
missing,
to try to get through
I
it
think you're
tonight.
missing 2 pages of the EAF that we have to get for you.
Yeah, we found,
Got the whole thing?
Yep.
Okay, could
Yeah.
you email that to me? Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I thought you were going to discuss the landscape architect comments, not go through the part 2. So I wanted to get your thoughts initially on what was provided by the landscape architect. I'm not sure if they're here tonight.
I don't think they were asked to be here. You know, if we're gonna get to that.
Okay,
So, I saw the plan. We reviewed it with them. It's a complete screening plan for the purpose of hiding the panels from the neighbors for the most part.
okay. And I guess I'm trying to understand if the board is looking for the applicant to adopt all of it as is, or if there could be some discussion about whether or not any of it would actually be effective and in compliance with the code.
Well, Don, you want to respond to that? Because I guess we're waiting on some other.
Yeah.
Comments.
My understanding is the landscape plan's been provided to George Janes and Nan Stolzenberg also. And that's something that they will include in the, I don't know if they're going to be including it in their report, but they're certainly, based on my conversation with Nan, who I spoke with earlier today, definitely, I think that in the discussion that they'll have with you at the June 4th meeting, I think they'll be folding in their comments on the landscape plan. I think you should have the discussion with them before you, I mean, you can talk about it amongst yourselves today, but I wouldn't reach any conclusions till you have an opportunity to have a discussion with your consultant.
We don't want to be repetitive, I think, so be best to wait.
Yeah, I would just say be familiar with the plan and at the next meeting.
I guess just as a follow-up to that, we received the landscape architect comments in March and it's now May. So I understand that Nan is sick and I certainly hope that, she feels better. But if we can get a sense tonight about, what we can expect to hear, what the board's thoughts are on any of the proposed screening, that would be helpful to us. Or if we can plan to have comments from all of the consultants ahead of the June meeting so that we can plan to address them there so that we have kind of a more productive conversation and can move forward, that would be, I think, good. So I think generally we've said like 2 weeks before the meeting, if we could have those so that we can address them. And I can maybe bring up concerns or, comments that I had about the plans tonight, and you can forward them to those consultants so that we can kind of continue moving forward.
Well, I think without the consultant here, it would be fruitless to bring up your concerns.
I'm sorry, but I, this is part of what has been not worked well, in my opinion, with regard to the process. I understand you want to stay ahead of things, but the board you guys need to get to the point where you've digested things, you've gotten input from your consultants and understand things, then you can interact with the applicant about what's needed further. But doing it now when you're unprepared just doesn't make any sense to me.
I guess we can step back from those comments then, and I'll just take any questions or comments on the plans that we did submit regarding the pad mounted equipment and kind of the board's take on that.
Well, I mean, my comment, the pad mounted equipment is a move in the right direction for getting rid of the pole. So that made me happy with that part of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a major change in the right direction.
So, I think at this point, I think we want to go to the audience and see if you have anything new to add that hasn't been already said. Please step up and give your name.
Should open with.
Wait, hang on.
Sure.
Can we get a motion to
For the
open?
record, I make a motion to open the public hearing for Ankrum Solar PV.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
So my name is Matthew Tuck. I stood before you before. Appreciate your time and your effort. I guess I'm a little baffled at why we would consider a partnership with Rick Energy based on how they've obfuscated their self-professed professionals and experts. They have hundreds of projects globally, and yet they're unable to navigate the simple rules that are in our comprehensive law plan and in our solar plan. So with that said, it's a little galling to me that they would have the audacity to press you all for a faster agenda and more answers when they've been unable to do themselves on a timely basis, on a transparent basis. I'd also say that Rob being here the other day, when there was no agenda for him to be here, and then the pads are suddenly mounted, or that they're accepted to be mounted in that such manner. Did you lose your position with Central Hudson as a result? But it was stated to the board that if you had changed the nature of the application in that respect, you would lose your position.
Regarding the agreement that we had with the utility, the design was for pole mounted equipment. That's the design they gave us. So that's what the agreement was for. And if we did fully remove or change the design, that could be considered a major modification that could require us to lose queue position. One of the reasons that we pushed back for so long on making the change to pad mounted equipment was because we couldn't get a response back from the utility. We still have not gotten a response back from the utility. However, it seemed to us that that was a major stopping point for the board and a hindrance in making a decision and moving forward. So at great risk to the project, we decided to make the change anyway without utility approval. So this project will essentially be conditioned on the approval from the utility. And if we don't get that, then there will be no project, regardless of whether or not a permit is granted.
Understood, thank you. Anybody else in the audience want to step up, please?
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Rayanne Mallet. I'm from the law firm McCarthy Finger, and I represent a number of the neighbors in the community. And thank you all for your volunteerism as planning board members. We understand the effort you put in, and so thank you for your service to the community. Before I talk about my comments tonight, I do have a question about the landscape plan that has been discussed. We do not want to burden the town with too many requests because we understand we're short-staffed through the many months I've been sitting here for a while. But we did put in a FOIL request on April 2nd because we don't understand the landscape plan. It has a stamp of the town of Ancrum on it, but we thought an outside consultant was doing the landscape plan. And my understanding from sitting here was that an outside consultant was going to evaluate their screening plan. So if maybe you could just spend a few moments before I bring some other things to your attention as to what is the landscape plan that was published. There's no summary of it. Our FOIL request from April 2nd was not answered, even though it is well past the appropriate. It's supposed to be answered within 5 days.
The landscape plan is in the file. It was done by a landscape architect.
Well, so our FOIL request is to understand who did it because the name
is on the file.
No, it's not. I have a copy right here. I can show you it. There's no narrative. There's no name as to who
Show me
did
what
it.
you have, because I've seen the plan and it was a full blown. I don't know. What? I don't recall. They were in Albany, that's.
Income solar review final. What I was feeling.
We also only got, essentially images. We also don't get like a narrative or
something
like that.
And this is all.
I assume that was completed, that's different. But
Do you know who did it?
no,
Okay, so neither the applicant or the community knows it.
I sat in a meeting and reviewed it with the landscape architect.
Can I
on the third
approach?
floor. Yeah.
Here, this is what comes up when we download it. It's on the screen. If you,
Yeah, no, there was a full landscape plan with bushes and.
yeah, but it
on
doesn't say on it who did it. We don't understand the scope of the project.
Something
And it
got,
just says town of Acton on file.
something got crossed in the,
That's what they said.
okay. Who's?
Wagner Hudson.
Please, I saw a full blown landscape plan. Complete.
Yeah, I'm gonna show. Here it is. That's all that's on the website. Those pages.
they've prepared a lot more than this.
Thought reviewing. Last one. 21.
Yeah, it's, it needs to be, I mean, this is more like what I had seen with the.
And they're, yeah, they didn't put them in the markings that they did.
I saw something different when we had the meeting, the Zoom meeting, but, we will get you the name and I will get you,
You can keep that.
that's okay. You can get it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we can give you the name. I don't know why that's all that was put in the file, but I saw something different.
Okay, that's all that was submitted. Found that.
What?
That's all that was submitted to me probably.
Okay. Something,
What,
something got short circuited.
were
Something.
they asked to do the work of the screening that was expected of the applicant?
Yeah. They were
Instead of
asked-
having the applicant do it?
They were asked to review what was submitted and basically supplement it, what they thought would do the job.
Thank you for clarifying that. The other thing before I ask I'm definitely not going to step on Mr. Lyons' toes. He's your municipal counsel. You should ask him this question, but what the applicant just described as relevant for SECRA is actually not true. I'm not going to get into the legal argument, but please listen to counsel. SECRA requires your review of the entire environment. It's not limited to just a public view. That's just not an accurate interpretation. But Mr. Lyons can advise you on that. What I really want to talk about tonight is what Mr. Lyons provided a path for you. And it seems as if you're thinking about possibly making a secret determination at the next meeting. However, there's a different path that's available and is more appropriate and more lawful. And it is obvious from their most recent submission in March that it is the path that this board should take according to the law. This application is incomplete and by this local code and should be rejected at the June 4th meeting. It is not this board's responsibility to create proposals, landscape plans or otherwise, which they have not submitted. It's your landscape plan to rectify their application. But their application is complete. As Nan, the town's planning consultant, made clear in her comments over a year ago in her February 28th memo, the zoning law requires that this applicant submit an application that not only complies with the community scale solar energy law, which is Article 5 of your zoning code, but also with the special use permit law, which is Article 6, and the site plan review law, which is Article 7. The application, the March one, just submitted a month ago, well, April, May, 2 months ago, does not meet the requirement, the application requirements of these laws. Article 5, Section D, G3 mandates that all applications for community scale solar energy systems shall include, so it's mandatory, in addition to the site plan and special use permit applications, accurate photo simulations showing the proposed solar energy system and its impact. However, the applicant has not submitted an accurate photo simulation. The town's consultants, George James and Associates, in its December 35th, 2025 assessment of their visual impact assessment found that there are so many issues that, quote, these materials should not be used by the town or the public to assess the visual impact of the proposed action. So your own town consultant is saying you didn't meet that requirement. And that might happen again on June 4th. Additionally, Article 7, which is the site plan review law, has provides similar requirements for an application for site plan review, which is also this application. This section of the law also requires a visual impact report. And And at the last meeting, which wasn't provided, because it, according to your town consultant, the one they provided should not be used. At the last meeting where it was on the agenda, so not the one where none of us was here, but the one before that, the applicants' representatives, the applicants stood up here and said they refused to do another visual impact review. They are telling you that they are not going to comply with 2 application requirements in your zoning law. So by their admitted refusal to follow your law for what your applications must contain, the next step here is not a positive or negative declaration. The next step here is this board rejecting the application as incomplete and sending them back until they provide you with what is required under the 3 Article 5, Article 6, and Article 7. We're talking only application requirements. But the lack of a proper visual impact assessment is only one of the many application requirements they are missing. The same Article 5, which mandates these requirements, states that a landscape plan that shall, again, we have the shall language, it's mandatory, not discretionary, all trees and other vegetation which shall be incorporated into the screening of the facility. They have not done this. It's nice that you've had an applicant do some of something. It's certainly not an entire plan. The applicant has not provided you with that. And it's similar to the visual impact analysis requirement. That very similar parallel language also exists in the application requirements for the site plan review, which says, and I'm quoting from your code, location, development, and management of all, I have it highlighted here, all proposed buffer and screening areas, including existing and proposed vegetative cover. This applicant has not only not provided this application, but we have discussed, I have been up here multiple times, I'm not going to go through it all again, how your code requires that the applicant to show you the maximum screening after 5 years from public roads and areas, as well as adjacent properties. They have not done this. They have again not met the application requirements under site plan review and special use permit. I'm sorry, the community solar. Can I just have those the board? Tonight, we have a supplement for you that we're handing out. We have one for the applicant as well as the attorneys and anybody else who wants one. A supplement to the Harkin aerial analysis of the applicant's visual impact analysis that was submitted with their March 2 months ago application. This supplement analyzes the efficacy of the proposed screening on the applicant's most recently submitted site plans and simulates the site length of the proposed screening using a global mapper software package. Our expert consultant Harkin Aerial's conclusion, if you just look at the pictures, is that the proposed screening does not meet the 5-year maximum screening standards required by Article 5 of the zoning law. Furthermore, the public intersections, if you want to look at it from public roadways, of Pat's Road and Route 82, as well as the public intersection of Pat's Road and Pool Hill Road, remain completely visible from the road for every driver coming by, for every pedestrian, which I will remind you is completely contrary to the zoning law, the comprehensive plan, and even the welcome to scenic Hudson signs we all see when we arrive in town. Another area application requirement that they have not done is, I'm going to go start with article or found in Article 5. Article 5 also says that all applications for community scale solar energy systems shall again include a decommissioning plan that ensures that the site will be restored to a useful, non-hazardous condition without delay and until it is made complete. This applicant has not submitted such decommissioning plan. This board has received numerous submissions in August and September of 2025 by Walden Environmental Engineering explaining that federal and state regulations require the proposed solar panels for this project to have a hazardous waste determination. Given the farmland that would be under and surrounding the solar arrays, this hazardous waste determination is required for environmental review purposes and to ensure that the decommissioning of the solar panel will not contaminate the land, and as well as to guide proper disposal to a hazardous waste landfill should they be hazardous. Another application requirement it has not met is that because this project is in the New York State Agricultural District, Article 7 requires an agricultural data statement as an application requirement, not as part of your SEQR review or site plan review, as an application requirement, which the application has not done, even though they were reminded of this by, again, your town consultant. I hope she feels better soon, over a year ago in February 2025. I also heard something else tonight, which shows that they didn't meet an application requirement. So I pulled your solar law as I was sitting here. And another application requirement is, I'll give you the section, G3 lists all the applications for community scale solar system. F is the documentation of utility notification, including an electric service order number. They're telling you they can't provide this. She's also telling you that you're gonna condition your SEQR review on getting it. This is a type 1 action. A type 1 actions are not allowed to have any, Mr. Lyons will confirm this for you, conditions attached to them. So you can't have a condition on it. It would be an illegal type 1 determination, not type 1 determination, it'd be an illegal action by this board. So until they have documentation of utility notification, including an electric service order number, this application cannot move forward. So where is your authority to send this application back? It's in Article 7, Section C8 of your own law, which specifically authorizes the planning board to reject the application as incomplete if it hasn't met the application requirements. This has been going on for a long time, and the applicant got up and said we're going in circles. The length of this process should not stop this board from deciding now that the application is incomplete. In fact, it is the duration of this application process to date and the applicant's actions which require that now this is the appropriate time to say enough is enough. The application continues to be incomplete. You continue to not provide us what our consultants have said you should since the beginning of 2025. And it's time to do your homework before you waste all of your volunteer time and require community members to keep coming out. For example, and I think this is what Mr. Tuck was getting at when he stood up here in frustration earlier. They just changed the, or are presuming to change the, to take down the utility pole, but this was 16 months after submitting their initial application, even though your code says it shall be underground. And it was many months in here where they claimed they couldn't do that, and that was not the code. Also, for many months, they not only ignored the code, but they even they did things. For example, I'm just going to touch on a few of them. They submitted, for example, the first visual impact analysis. They pretended they didn't have to screen from neighbors. They didn't actually pretend it. They stood up here and said that the adjoining properties had no inherent right, was the language they used, no inherent legal right to protect their view shed. And we kept jumping up and down and saying, but your code requires it. This town has said adjacent property owners, the properties have to be screened. We pointed out to you that the 239M referral to the county was based on them misstating in the EAF that it will not be visible from public areas or public roads. That is what they wrote in their EAF, their first EAF in November 2024, 16 months ago. This was not visible. Then a few months later, in February 2025, they said, well, it's a little visible from Route 82. And it turns out, because the neighbors and my clients had to spend a lot of money to hire Harkin Aerial to do the LiDAR analysis, that in fact, it is going to be visible from many public roads and public areas. In fact, I believe it was 13% of the town. After they have maintained for months, it was not visible from any public area. When your consultant in the beginning of 2025 said, well, are you sure it's not visible from any public area? They responded in writing, it's only visible from maybe one place. They have misrepresented what your code means, their ability to comply with your code since 16 months ago. And now tonight, they still have not met the bare minimum of what is required for this application before you. No matter what your consultants come back with by June 4th, your law requires this planning board to send the application back as incomplete and end this nonsense because they are asking you to do something that your law does not allow it. We ask that you immediately reject this application. At minimum, reject it by June 4th and make the applicant follow the law like every other applicant who stands before you and asks to build something in this town. Thank you.
John, would you like to respond?
Ms. Malik, do you have a PDF version of the handout that you gave to the board to me? If you could email that to us, that would be great. And
Me too.
we'll take a look. We'll take a look at I mean, if the board is interested in having us take a look at the issues that Ms. Mallet has raised, we can do that and report to you.
Well, yes, absolutely. I just, we kind of move these things along in steps and if it's not complete.
Okay,
I'll
we'll
have to
take
do
a
what
look
we
at
have to
them and
do,
we'll get back to you.
If there's outstanding things that need to be added, then, and they can be added, that's fine. But we need to get to a resolution at some point.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think part of the point that's being made is that there's been some continuing attempts to get outstanding things added that haven't been successful all the time. So, but we'll take a look. We'll take a look at the issue.
Okay, thank you, John.
It's definitely a lot, so I'll do my best to kind of condense a response. Like we kind of talked about in the beginning, like we saw in the previous application, and I know that, the attorney came in kind of later in the process. I think the board knows that we've reviewed a lot and answered a lot of the questions that were brought up. The stuff about the toxic waste and the panels and that engineering statement, we responded to all of those. We submitted the equipment specification sheets of what the panels contain in terms of materials. We have submitted the agricultural notice of intent to construct to NISDAM. So they will review that and we will coordinate with them. That is underway. That's the kind of NOI that she was talking about. Nan also had a comment many months ago about including the ag and markets guidelines for construction in an ag field specifically for solar on the plans. We did that. That is on the site plans in full, that we would follow all of those guidelines. It's also stated in the decommissioning plan that we will follow all of the ag and markets guidelines during decommissioning. I'm not sure if she just hasn't seen the decommissioning plan, but I know that this board knows that a decommissioning plan was submitted at the very beginning, as well as a bond estimate. The town's engineer had reviewed that, had said that the estimate was in line with what he had seen before, the NYSERDA benchmarks and all of that. So that has definitely been a part of the application since the very beginning. And I would also say in terms of code compliance and completeness of the application, the first step of this process is going to the zoning enforcement officer, which we did. And we went step by step, page by page through the entire application with him in December 2024, I believe. And he marked up his sheet and submitted that to the board. He marked it as complete. He marked it as compliant. So in terms of, going back and forth about the compliance with the underground wires and utility lines, the reason that we pushed back on that, one was the utility line, but second, because we did have a statement from the zoning enforcement officer that the plan submitted as is, which was the pole mounted design, was compliant with the code. And the plain language of the code is all transmission lines and wiring associated with the project will be underground. And that has been true since the very beginning of our application. All of the lines and wiring have been underground since the very beginning. What was on the poles is the utility required equipment, reclosers, meters, equipment, not lines or wires, things that cannot be put underground in any way. The only options for that is pole mounted or pad mounted. So I want to make that clear. A couple of other things with the landscaping plan, that was part of the site plan. There's a specific sheet in the site plan that details all of the landscaping. It marks out where the trees will be planted, how many trees, the height of the trees, the varieties of the trees. That's been part of the application for a while as well. And we've made updates to that as the board has requested. There was requests to screen for private property. We added some to that kind of north back edge. There was requests to kind of screen the poles at the time. So we added screening there. That's all in the plans. So I'm not sure, if that wasn't seen as well, but a landscaping plan has been included. And the operations and maintenance plan also details, operation and maintenance of the landscaping throughout the life of the project. In terms of the landscape plan that was created by the board's consultants, that's, something that we did pay for as the applicant. It wasn't on the town or anything. We paid for that out of escrow. And the reason that was kind of a back and forth was because we had proposed the landscaping that we had proposed. We added landscaping in multiple locations, and it seemed like the board and the public was not satisfied with that. And as an applicant, we can't tell what you want or what the public wants without something concrete. So if you keep saying to us, we want more landscaping or more visual mitigation, but you can't tell us what, we don't know what to put. So that's when the landscape architect was brought in. And I understand that was later in the process than, would have been more beneficial to do that earlier, but it came up when it came up. So that's kind of the reason that there has been some back and forth. And in terms of materials, like the visual impact assessment not being compliant with the code, there is no code requirement for the methodology of the visual impact assessment. The only thing it states is the accuracy of the simulations. So what the Harkin analysis did, which was, I think, LiDAR, and some of the comments from the board's consultant, George James, also mentioned LiDAR and mentioned DEM versus the SM. Those are methodological preferences from one consultant to another. And just because that's not what our consultant used doesn't mean it's inadequate or inaccurate. It is widely accepted. And that's in our response to our formal written response to the George James analysis. It talks about how the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation visual policy and other applicable guidelines don't mandate any kind of specific software program, and neither does your code. And what we have done in the visual impact assessment that I think makes ours a little bit more accurate is that we have real on the ground photos that show the conditions as they exist. So the Harkin analysis, and I don't know that George James went on site and did his own analysis, just kind of comments on ours, but the visual impact assessment that we amended after comments from NAN has 14 photos from different points all around in a 2-mile radius, which is what the board requested for the GIS analysis. And those real life photos are a very good indication of what the conditions are when you're standing somewhere or when you're driving somewhere. And so the reference to Pat's Road, I forget what number in the VIA that is, but we have a photo on Pat's Road. That's over a 1/4 mile away, probably near a 1/2 mile away from where the array will be, with multiple levels of existing vegetation on other parcels and on our parcel, which we have committed to maintaining the vegetation that exists on the parcel that is currently around the array. So I think, maybe we could benefit from going through the VIA page by page and looking at those photos, because I think that's a really good indication of what the actual conditions are, rather than only relying on software without seeing, in real life what that looks like. I think that was most of what I had to say in response. Yeah, I guess I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
I have one last question.
Can I just respond to her?
Yes, I'm sorry.
First. I know John James was not at all impressed with your last submission. And that was pretty clear, right, John?
Yeah.
Yeah, George James was not at all impressed with so. I don't know how we get to the point where there's an agreement between visual impact. Between the neighbors and you guys, but somehow we're gonna find a way. Come up with an answer.
I just read one thing quickly. This is from the George James report, it's December 31st, 2025. Summary of findings will be all for you too. The VIA understates the visual impact of the proposed action. It is our opinion these materials should not be used by the town or the public to assess the visual impact of the proposed actions. Photographs and simulations. All photographs were taken during leaf-on conditions. That's a shock, isn't it? Simulations. Serious problems with the simulations that go beyond the photography, but there is no discussion of the method used to produce these images. Line of sight profiles. We know that the representation of trees in the profiles is out of scale. Viewshed maps. Viewsheds are not typically made using DEM. Further, a single point located at the center of the panels is not sufficient to analyze visibility of the site with an area of disturbance of 9.45 acres. There should be many points representing the panels in the viewshed map. Oh, and there's no glare analysis. And they're closed verbatim. These are not exhaustive comments, but are rather representative comments on the materials in the VIA. Again, this might be helpful too. It's our opinion the materials found in the VIA should not be used for your decision-making, as they do not fully disclose the impact of the project. Yeah.
We asked them to go back and to take those comments and to.
And I say this in the context of statements being made recently that aren't accurate.
Yeah. Sir.
I have 2 things to add. And I'm actually finished. But very quickly, with regard, because their presentation over these months has been disingenuous. You have not been given correct information from Rick. They did in their hazardous waste testing. You didn't see a single material data sheet showing a test result. All these things exist. There's no toxicity test result. We don't know what that material is. We don't know what it will leach to in the amount of time. Nothing. They say they did it all. We have no hazardous waste. You don't have a test. You don't have a test. They said they put in pads, but you didn't get a letter to Central Hudson. That's the way they've done the business. You didn't get a modification letter. I'm not going to go through other things, but that gives you an idea. All you've been doing is getting disingenuous information. You haven't gotten the real deal.
Thank you.
Could you, sir, just identify yourself for the record?
Hi, Warren Holberg.
So we did formally respond in writing to those comments from George James, so I won't go through all of that. I think the board, can read that on their own time and discuss with their consultants. And we responded in full to those comments, and the board also knows that we have submitted leaf off photos for the VIA, not 14 of them, because at the time when we were asked to do additional VIA, it just happened to be the season where the leaves were on the trees. But we did submit leaf off photos for what I think would be the most important vantage point, which is along Route 82, and there are 4 of those, and those were included in the combination that we just resubmitted for George Janes to.
Can I just
review.
stop you 1 second? Did you take any photos while the leaves were off the trees now?
No.
Before they're back on again?
I don't believe that we've gone out to do that now.
You didn't help yourself there.
Well, I mean, we can only do what we can do in terms of what we're asked for when we're asked for it. And if we're not asked for it, it's very hard for us to go out and
You made
justify
the
spending the money
The
on that.
photos had the leaves on it, so I would think that's a hint to go take some photos with the leaves off.
Well, we have submitted what we submitted. I did want to say too, in terms of what the attorney brought up on the condition of seeker for the pad mounted equipment, that's not what I meant, and maybe that wasn't clear, but that was more of like, if that's what's on the site plan, that's a condition of the special use permit and site plan approval, which you definitely have the authority to put conditions on that approval. And we obviously would not be granted a building permit if the pads were not in the final design. So that's clear. And for seeker, what she mentioned was that it requires you to review environmental impact on a whole and not specifically the public vantage points. Question 9 of the part 2 is regarding impact of aesthetic resources, and it lists specifically officially designated federal, state, or local scenic or aesthetic resources, publicly accessible vantage points, and things like that. Nothing about private residences in here. So in terms of the actual questions that you will have to mark, it is related to public vantage points only.
Thank you. All right, anybody else who want to close this for the evening? Anybody else have anything to add? Okay, can I get a motion? You're always late. I'm sorry.
Jeff Baker, resident, Akron. I make one suggestion for the board because, I happened to be driving up Route 22, a month ago. And there's a solar project almost identical in size, Orford Farm Road. And it's about a mile from Route 22. And the incredible glare of that project when you drive by in the afternoon is.
What town is this here?
It's in Copake Falls. It's about 15 minutes northbound Route 22. It's worth a little road trip.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah, it's the one on Bright Path, yeah.
Okay. John, you have anything in closing before we? No. I think all has been said for this application. We'll continue the public hearing till the next meeting. We haven't gotten to any resolution yet, so we need a motion.
I make a motion, we continue the public hearing for solar to the June 4th meeting? June 2nd meeting.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, just one other piece of business, and this is just it's up to you guys. Our July meeting falls the day before the 4th of July weekend. Do we want to entertain moving it to the following? Yeah. That didn't take long.
So move it to the July 9th?
Yeah, I mean, that would be my suggestion. The 3rd is the holiday and we'll be here doing this. So, is that okay? We just decided, and we'll make a motion to move the July meeting to the 9th.
I make a motion to move our July meeting from the 2nd to the 9th.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
I think we'll keep the minutes for the last month till the next meeting, so we can review them. And with that being said, can I get a motion to
I make my meeting.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you.